The first thing I noticed was the shirt. My shirt. The same light blue button-down I had left draped over a chair in my apartment the night before. The same shirt with a tiny coffee stain near the cuff that I had never managed to remove. And somehow, standing in the executive conference room of one of the biggest companies in Chicago, wearing that exact shirt, was my CEO. My heart nearly stopped. The room suddenly felt too small. My coworkers were chatting casually around the table while I stood frozen near the door, staring at the woman who controlled every major decision in the company. Then she looked directly at me. A strange smile crossed her face, and when I finally gathered enough courage to ask why she was wearing my shirt, her answer sent a chill down my spine. She simply smiled and replied that I didn't remember last night. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one unexpected moment can completely change a person's life, please take a second to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories. My name is Jacob Carter, and at 32 years old, my life was about as ordinary as it could be. I lived alone, in a small apartment on the north side of Chicago. My days were filled with spreadsheets, deadlines, and endless meetings at a financial consulting firm. I wasn't rich. I wasn't particularly successful. I was simply trying to survive. Our CEO, Victoria Brooks, was the complete opposite. She was respected, feared, and admired all at once. Every magazine seemed to want an interview with her. Every employee wanted her approval. Most people believed she had a perfect life. What nobody knew was that perfection can be the loneliest prison in the world. The truth began revealing itself the night before. It had been raining heavily across the city. After finishing work late, I stopped at a small grocery store near my apartment. As I walked toward the parking lot, I noticed a woman sitting alone on a bench beneath the pouring rain. At first, I almost kept walking. Then, I recognized her, Victoria. She looked nothing like the confident executive everyone knew. Her makeup had been washed away by the rain. Her shoulders were trembling. Her eyes looked exhausted. For several seconds, I simply stood there, shocked. Then, I did something that probably saved both of us. I walked over and offered her my umbrella. She looked up, surprised. For a moment, I expected her to refuse. Instead, tears filled her eyes. She looked like someone who had been carrying the weight of the world for far too long. Without asking questions, I helped her into my car. The drive was silent. Eventually, she admitted that her father had passed away years earlier, and that the anniversary of his death always hit her hard. She confessed that despite all her success, she often felt completely alone. No board members, no investors, no assistants, just a grieving daughter sitting beside me in a quiet car. I drove her to my apartment because she was too emotional to be alone. Nothing inappropriate happened. We sat in the kitchen drinking coffee while the storm raged outside. For hours she talked, and for hours I listened. She spoke about pressure, about expectations, about being strong for everyone else, about never having anyone ask if she was okay. When she finally smiled, it was almost midnight. For the first time, she looked peaceful. At some point, her clothes were soaked from the rain, and I offered her one of my spare shirts while her blouse dried. That shirt, the same one she was now wearing. Unfortunately, the emotional night had exhausted me. After she settled onto the couch, I fell asleep in my bedroom. The next morning had become a blur. I overslept, rushed to work, skipped breakfast, and somehow completely forgot everything that happened. Until now, standing in that conference room, watching my CEO wear my shirt. As the meeting continued, I struggled to focus. Every glance in her direction brought back fragments of the previous night. The sadness in her eyes, the vulnerability, the trust. After the meeting ended, she quietly asked me to stay behind. My stomach twisted into knots. The last thing I expected was what happened next. Victoria thanked me, not as a CEO, not as a powerful executive, but as a human being. She said something that would stay with me forever. She told me that everyone in her life admired her success, but very few cared about her happiness. The night before, for the first time in years, someone had simply listened. without wanting anything in return, without expecting favors, without trying to impress her, just kindness, pure and simple. Over the following months, something changed. Not romance, not immediately. Something far more important, friendship. We began talking more often, sharing stories, supporting each other through difficult days. The walls she had built around herself slowly began to disappear, and surprisingly so did mine. For years I had believed that my ordinary life made me insignificant. Victoria helped me realize that the greatest impact people have often comes through simple acts of compassion. A year later, the company launched a charitable foundation focused on helping grieving families and individuals struggling with loss. Victoria asked me to help lead the project together. We built something that changed thousands of lives, and every time someone asked how the foundation began, we both smiled. Because its story started with a rainy night, a borrowed shirt, and a conversation that neither of us would ever forget. Before we reach the end, I have a special request. Please comment below. Kindness changes lives if you believe one small act of compassion can completely transform someone's future. Years later, I still keep that memory close to my heart. Not because it changed my career, not because it brought recognition, but because it reminded me that every person we meet is fighting a battle we cannot see. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer isn't money, advice, or success. Sometimes it's simply our willingness to listen. And that simple choice can become the turning point in someone's life. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, leave a comment, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more emotional and inspiring stories to people who need them. Because in a world that often feels cold and rushed, kindness will always be remembered.